All right, so we're totally okay with factoring the basic ones, but now we need to factor things that are negative. And just to show you this, uh, we'll just use negative colors for this video. Why not? Um, Now I know negatives really make you guys unhappy, and for your entire life you've just have gotten to negatives and you've said, "I want to cry," and life becomes all sad and you're all alone and it's terrible and terrible and terrible. But it should not be this way with factoring problems. The fact that we have negatives doesn't really make the problem any harder. It just makes them more complicated. It just makes us have to think a little bit more. And honestly, if you can factor negatives, then it shows that you truly understand how to factor in the first place. Because some of you, I'm sure, understand that when we factor, the first term, the x squared, is just the product of the first term of two binomials. You understand that the x squared comes from this term, and that the last term, whatever that might be, and let's say it's 6, it comes from that other number. And that the middle term, whatever that is going to be, that comes from the sum of these products. And it's complicated, but you understand it. Whereas some of you might just think, all right, you find a 3-term polynomial. I look at this number and I decide what factors of that add to this. And that's it. And although that's correct, it shows that you truly don't understand factoring. And so we're going to go in a little more depth with factoring in this video to help you out. So the first thing I want to show you is that there are 2 different types of factoring problem. The first problem is, well, we have a factor like this one, and where is the negative sign? It's in the front. And so we're going to practice with factoring a negative sign in the front. And so here's a basic problem. X squared, oops, not plus, but minus, let's say, I don't know, 5x. And let's just say plus, nope, let's just say plus 4. Ooh, that's a wild 4. And when I look at this problem, it really shouldn't read any differently than the basic factoring problem. You should be looking at which term first when you're factoring this. Yes, you should be looking at the last term, and you should be thinking, what factors of 4 add to negative 5? Key thing is, this tells you whether you're adding or subtracting these factors, and this tells you just what the sign of those factors are going to be. So in this case, factors of 4 that add to negative 5, well, you can probably imagine it's 4 and 1. Now I'm leaving out the negative signs here on purpose because I want you to think about something. When you have 2 negatives, such as, I don't know, negative 5 minus 6, or negative 5 plus negative 6, what kind of number do you get? Do you get a larger negative? Do you get a smaller negative than negative 5? Do the negatives cancel out? What happens? The answer, of course, is you get a larger negative. It's just like adding. 5 plus 6 is 11, and negative 5 minus 6 is negative 11. It's just literally taking the number line and doing what we normally do with addition, except we're now going backwards, right? Well, let's think about that with this problem. If I had negative x minus 4x, that would definitely give me negative 5x, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So this first case is super easy because all you really need to do is factor things the same way we have been, except we're just going to use negative signs. So give you another quick example. X squared minus 7x, I don't know, plus 12. And you tell me, what are the factors of 12 that add to negative 7? The answer, of course, is going to be x minus 3 times the quantity x minus 4. And you could easily switch those around and say x minus 4 times x minus 3. That doesn't really matter. And now that we've got that, let's move on to the second case, which is, what if we have a negative in the back? So now we have something like, x squared plus 4x, and maybe we have something like, I don't know, minus 12. And the question is, how do you get a negative sign in the back? And the answer is, our two signs in our problem need to be different. You're going to still have x plus something times x plus something, but they can't be pluses anymore. If they're pluses, this would be a positive number, but one will be a negative and the other will be positive. So in this case, it's a little different because now we're looking for factors of 12 that don't add, but they subtract to positive 4. So can you think of factors of 12 that subtract to give you positive 4? And thinking about it this way, hopefully you came up with the correct answer is 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. And that should tell you right here, the minus sign goes on 2 to give you positive 4x. By the way, this could be switched the other way around. If I put a negative sign right here, don't be distracted. Don't look at this sign first. Always look at the last sign and say, all right, now this is factors of 12 that subtract to give you negative 4. And to get factors that subtract to a negative, that just means that the larger number is now being subtracted from the smaller. So now you would do 2 minus 6 to get negative 4, which basically just means that I would take this 6 and I would take this 2 and I would flip-flop them, because now I have 2 minus 6 to give me my negative 4x minus 12. Hope that helps. Let's do a little practice. All right, this first one here, what sign are you looking at first? Good. And you should be thinking to yourself, factors of that do what? Yes, so factors of 24 that subtract to 2. And let's think about this. I'll just list some factors. 1 and 24, they don't have a difference of 2. 2 and 12, they definitely don't. 3 and 8, we're getting closer. That's 5 apart. What about 4 and 6? There you go, bingo, 4 and 6. And I know that 6 minus 4 is 2, so that tells me that the minus should go on the 4. That is a 4, not a 9. And this is the factored binomial pair. I have x minus 4 times x plus 6, and I could check my work, but I'm not going to. Let's try the next one. This one, I should be thinking to myself, what first about this last term? Yes, factors of 10 that add to negative 7. And I'll let you go ahead and figure that out. What do you think the answer is to this one? Since they're adding to a negative, they should both be negative. And that means I'll have x minus 3 times x minus 4. Very good on that one. Now, on the last one, you might be confused because there's 2 negative signs. But again, always look at the last term first. This should read factors of 77 that do what? Yup, to give you what? Yes, negative 4. Factors of 77 that subtract to give you negative 4. Oof. Now, I don't know about you, but I know one factor of 77 right away. I'll let you think about it. And what are those factors? Yes, it should be 7 and 11. And let's think about it. Should it be 7 minus 11, or should it be 11 minus 7 to give me this middle term? Yes, it should be minus 7, which tells me that the answer should be x minus, it should be minus 11. I said that wrong. X minus 11 times x minus 7. And that's the answer. X plus 7, rather. Again, this is plus, and so plus 7 minus 11. There you go. Hope that helps you guys.